From Lagos.
Zainab Suleiman Omar is running for an assembly seat in Kano State. She is the youngest woman to run for such a position there, and she joins us from the state capital, Kano. Aisha Salahuddin is a journalist with Steers Business. She has covered the run-up to this year's election. She joins us from Lagos.
And from Abuja, we have Samson Itodo, the executive director of IAGA. That's a non-profit organization committed to the promotion of democratic governance. It was the driving force behind Not Too Young to Run. Hello, everybody.
Let's get started.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for being here. Let's get started with our community because we had such a massive response when we told people we were doing this show. So let's dip right into the issues that Nigeria's youth are facing with this Instagram. This is from Benson, who posted this not too long ago, just about a day. Our foundational right to vote is central to our need to continually work to protect, preserve, and strengthen our democracy. So we asked him to elaborate on that, and he did in a video comment that he sent to stream. Here's what he told us.
One of the reasons I'll be voting this weekend is because of the increase in the rate of unemployment in the country. For a country like Nigeria with massive wealth and a huge population to support commerce, we still have the largest number of people living in extreme poverty. About 86 million people are living in extreme poverty in the country presently. And that's just disgraceful because we call ourselves the giant of Africa.
Disgraceful. Omoyele, I'm going to throw that one right to you. He's worried about unemployment. What's your thought on that?
Oh, man, 1,000 naira, you are bound to poor. And Nigeria is enable you to have shelter and be able to go to a doctor if you fall sick. None of that is existing in Nigeria. That's the reason we are poor. It's because our system is designed to make people poor and keep them trapped in poverty.
What would be a living wage?
I don't think it's beyond...
yes, Samson, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's beyond whether we've got a system. There's also the issue about political leadership and whether leaders who are placed in positions of authority have been able to develop policies that are geared towards first boosting industrialization or creating an enabling environment for businesses to thrive. So there's a question of accountability. There's a question on the quality of leadership. And I think that it's important to underscore that beyond the system, you've got individuals who over the years, rather than use public office to advance the common good, have, taken to corruption and have siphoned public funds.
So Zainab, what do you bring that's fresh to this typical picture that keeps repeating itself in Nigeria?
Well, one of the things I believe I'm going to do when I get there is because is that as it is certain that Nigeria we lack unemployment. Like even in my constituency, like in Kano State now, you find out that most of the youth are educated, but they don't have the capacity to have employment. So how I'm going to tackle this is that I'm going to partner with non-governmental organizations and private organizations to kind of partner with them so they will bring more job opportunities for the youth in my constituency and in Kano State at large.
I'm looking here at the unemployment rate. This is on the Nigerian elections 2019. You'll find this at aljazeera.com. Down here, unemployment rate 23.1%. And out of the population who are able to vote, and the population in Nigeria, 51% are between 18 and 35. So I'm just wondering, Aisha, when we look at unemployment, so many are going to be young people. What does that picture look like? Give us an example.
Femi, I think it's important to add beyond unemployment to look at youth unemployment is actually at about 34-38%.
Thank you for that.
So when we talk unemployment, we should also look at youth unemployment
because it's more skewed towards youth than anybody else. So Aisha, give us an example.
So I think I'm not sure what you mean by an example, but I think that this
takes us beyond statistics, because statistics, but real people's lives. What does that mean?
Okay, so I think this percentage, these numbers are indicative of what we should be paying attention to. Now we have over 80 million young people, a lot of them unemployed, who have their permanent voters cards, who who have their permanent voters cards, and one of the reasons why they actually have this is because they're trying to preach against, okay, they're saying we're unemployed and we have this card, so we're going to vote for the people who have promised us jobs, who have promised to make our lives better. So I think that one of the indications of a large number of people getting their cards and wanting to participate in the electoral process is that unemployment numbers. Because like I've been, talking to a lot of Nigerians, interviewing them in the run-up to these elections, and I can say that one of the major reasons why they want to vote is because they're tired of being unemployed. The youth population is quite large, it's growing, and it is outpacing the number of jobs available. So yes, this is definitely indicative of why people are starting to pay more attention.
Aisha, Samson, I just want to give an example to what Aisha was saying there, because I think this is someone who would agree with what she's saying. Mustafa just tweeted in, like the other millions of university graduates in Nigeria, what matters to me is the restoration of hope for opportunity, jobs, and contract seekers. I want a government that would show true commitment to due process, even as it creates jobs. Let my hard work pay off. And just to give an example of how he cares and how strongly he cares. He says, I've been on the road all day, 9 hours, to my hometown to vote, and I've only just arrived. So you can tell how much Nigeria Decides 2019 matters to me. Samson?
No, absolutely. And if you look at the outlook, especially for young people in Nigeria and voting in these elections, I just wanted to make a point and piggyback on what Aisha said. I think that as much as young people have collected their PVCs and all they want is they are voting for jobs, we also need to manage the expectations, because just voting, it's not going to provide the jobs. The participation in the civic process post-election and holding the candidates to account is very, very critical. And we've got just about a couple of hours to go to the elections. Have we asked these candidates enough questions on how and which sectors are they going to create these jobs? And what is the timeline? So we can actually hold them to account. And I'll be very, very interested to hear what Sowore would say as to his own plan for creating jobs.
Let me just quickly say that I think this is where political education needs to come in, especially for the young Nigerians who are voting. So a lot of people don't even realize that they have the opportunity to ask those people who are contesting for how they intend to do things. Politicians are very great at saying that this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you so and so jobs, but they're not particularly great at saying how they're going to get there. So I think political education, especially for young people, is super important, because they need to be able to ask, like, what are you going to do for us? And just like you said, Samson, in terms of longevity, like, what are your future plans for us young people? So again, political education for young people is super important.
I want to pick up on that point. Zainab, go ahead, make your point briefly. I'm going to move on a little bit more. Go ahead.
Well, I want to just add on what Mr. Samson just said, because when you look at, when we said you are voting for unemployment, you should also engage. They should also participate, and also are they truly ready to track these campaign promises? Our candidates are giving this one, because already if I'm doing my own campaign, I normally tell them to please try as much as they can. When I get to the office, they should track what I've been saying. They should track my campaign. So I urge most of the youth that are ready to vote to decide Nigeria this 2019 to also track the campaign promises. Yes.
Okay. All right. So we won't know unless you get elected, and then we'll see if you're keeping your promises. Aisha said something really important about political education. This is what the Not Too Young to Run campaign has been doing. They've been encouraging people to run, and then also encouraging people to be educated about the political system. I have to show you a little clip of this video.
The very important card that unlocks the door to our future. Now that is powerful. You think it's your ATM card? No. Let's talk about this card. This special card has an embedded chip that contains every voter's sensitive information, like the facial image, the fingerprints, and biodata. On elections day, this card will be used to confirm, verify, and authenticate every voter using the smart card reader. Why is this card?
There's so much in terms of infrastructure to helping so many new voters getting into the system, and also new young people, politicians running. So I'm just wondering, Zainab, from your perspective, how did you get to the position where you're now running for office?
Well, one of the process I get, how I get into this position is that I've been into community works, and I would say I run under a big party then, and at long run I found out that I understand that being in that bigger party does not determine me winning my election, but what have I done on the grassroots level? So I decided to run under a big party in order for me to kind of participate in that party, political party. But I lost during my primaries due to godfatherism and lack of funds as a young person running for office. So I left the big party down to a new party which I'm running under. So one of the challenges I would say I face is lack of funds and also lack of godfather in that aspect. So me coming to this stage, I was once a school politician and now I'm running for the State House of Assembly office.
I hear what you're saying there, and you mentioned a word that if our audience was watching our last Nigeria election shows, they will know, but if they weren't, they will not. Godfather. Can you explain that for our audience?
Well, what I meant by godfatherism is that there's these people that are there in most of the politics in Nigeria, and that they will say this particular person is going to be the head this year, and after 4 years, the social person is going to be on this is going for this seat next year. So this is what I lack as then when I run for councillorship. I found out that me running under the big party, I don't have a strong godfather that is going to stand for me. So that godfather I lack was one of the reasons I lost my primaries then when I was running for councillorship. So what I meant by that godfather is those kingmakers. There are those kingmakers that when they say, yes, you are going for this seat today, definitely you are going for that seat. So these are those people that I believe they are my own threats then. Yeah.
So the godfather, the kingmaker, the patron who has the money. I wanted to turn your attention a little bit.
Godmothers, please.
Yes, and the godmothers, whoever has the money. I wanted to bring your attention to this comment we just got on YouTube, though. Omoyele, I'll get this to you. James says, some are too young and too undereducated to have a voice in politics. So kind of pushing back against that idea of too young to run, not too young to run. But Omoyele, you first joined our show, The Stream, back in 2012. Here's the headline from Sahara Reporters: the young and the jobless. And you were on with a state governor and others. Do you believe that you are too young to become president?
No, absolutely. I'm probably a little bit in the middle, a little bit too, I'm not too young, I'm not too old, I'm youthful. I'm 48 years old. I'll be exactly 48 years old on election day, next Saturday. So I'm not too young to run. I don't actually fall under the category of not too young to run campaign, but I have a criticism of not too young to run. They had a fantastic campaign, it worked, but they failed in one particular area. The moment they got the the bill signed into law, they were there while a 76-year-old man was telling them we need four more years. And they sat there, they couldn't challenge you and say, it's time for you to retire. And that's my criticism of not too young to run. You also can't find them supporting any young candidate particularly. They're there just saying, oh, we're an NGO, we don't want to play a political role. And that's my criticism of Mr. Sampson Etodo and the rest of the not too young to run crew. I wish that they took a position, Nobody can be apolitical when your future, the future of your country, your salary, your healthcare.
Oh, Yele, you started something here. Let me bring in Aisha first of all. Aisha, you go first.
I've said it several times, and
Aisha, go ahead. Omoyele, give Aisha some space.
I don't know that. I don't know that it's okay
that allow young people to run, but then they turn around and turn their back on against young people that are running.
I think that's too much of a stretch to say that they turn their backs against young people. The reason why we have the lower age, at this point is because of not too young to run. So I don't think it's fair to say that they turned their back, because they actually led the movement, and that movement did not start yesterday. In fact, they had been working on this for 10 years, if I remember correctly. So what I actually want to say is the fact that I think it's not I think it's too much of an expectation to say that they should support or pull their weight on a particular candidate. No, it's okay if they are neutral. They're not Young to Run has said that they are for all young people. They're going to support young people that are qualified. So I don't see why or what difference it makes if they support a particular candidate. It's great that they are political. So I don't agree with what you said.
All right, Zainab, go ahead.
Well, you can disagree, but I'm just expressing my own opinion.
Okay,
I think they should have done a better job at, they can't afford to leave Nigeria after you said not too young to run. The law is signed to, the act is signed into law.
I mean, there's a law. There's a law. So what else do you need?
I'm not a beneficiary of not too young to run. I'm old enough to be president of Nigeria. So don't think I'm looking for this.
Beneficiary of the not.
All right. Omoyele, let's hear from some younger voices. Zainab, go ahead.
Beneficiary of not too young to run. Well, as a beneficiary of the Not Too Young to Run, I believe the Not Too Young to Run is a non-partisan organization, but also I, as a young candidate, have benefited so much in the Not Too Young to Run movement because I've been given visibility resources. Even if I'm not giving money directly, I've been given visibility resources. I've been on media with the Not Too Young to Run movement. So me as a young person, I should be the person I should be the person to answer this question, I believe, because I've enjoyed the Not Too Young to Run movement by these visibility resources I've been having. So me, as a young candidate, you are running because you want to win, and also when you are running for election, you should believe that there are some things you need perfectly to run that election. Anything you want to do, you should have a timeline of whatever you want to do. So as a young person running for office, there are some certain things you believe you are the one that is supposed to do it on your own self. You don't have to just be on that this social person is going to do it for me. I'm running because the Not Too Young movement is a movement that is going to help the young people, is going to give them money, or also you should also run because you have something you want to give to your own people. So I believe the Not Too Young to Run movement have benefited from the Not Too Young to Run movement by visibility resources I've been having so far. So me not giving money, supported by money, is not something that, yes, I will say, I'm not giving money. You are running because
Zainab,
you know you have
I hear you. And I think you wouldn't even be talking on this show if that Not Too Young to Run law wasn't in place. Samson, I want to push on a little bit more because we've got 5 minutes left in this particular part of the programme, and I want to ask you about the particular challenges for young politicians trying to run 2019.
In fact, there are a couple of challenges. I was going to respond to, I'm sure, but I think Zainab and Aisha already put it rightly. There are a couple of challenges. There are structural issues we need to deal with. The cost of politics. Nigeria operates a very toxic political system. It is criminal for you as a young person to aspire to run for office. First, you're either battling with political parties that don't uphold the tenets of democracy, or you've got political parties that care about imposing candidates, or you've got a ruling political elite that thinks that young people don't have a place in the table. The cost of nomination forms in a political party is way high. The ruling party pegged the cost of its form for about 45 million, and if you convert that to dollars, it's over I think it's over $100,000 just to purchase a form, mere piece of paper, because you want to run for a particular
someone's
office.
making some money.
And that's something we need to address. The second issue is about women and young women. A lot of young women aspired to run for office in 2019, but they were told to sit back, and women don't have a place in politics. And that's why we celebrate Zainab today, because against all odds, against the frustration with this system, Zainab took the gauntlet and went to a different platform and decided to run. And that's something that is worth celebrating. The third issue also hovers around the electoral system. It's important that when we talk about political participation, we look at how free and fair is our electoral process that guarantees the emergence of competent persons with capacity and character to aspire and also emerge as winners of elections. So these are some of the challenges. But to fix this, we must reduce the cost of politics in Nigeria. We must reduce the perpetuate of office, because for public leadership in Nigeria, people only the driving philosophy is not results and impact. It's just self-aggrandizement. And how do I ensure that my own family and my own tribe and my own and those who are of the same religious extraction enjoy from the national cake? And that's something that we must fix.
So Samson, you listed.
Thank you, Samson.
Samson, you listed a bunch of reasons. I want to give us one more that we might be afraid of. This is a video comment we got from a journalist, Mercy. This is what she told the stream.
Barriers to young people's involvement in politics in Nigeria would largely be dependent, moving forward, by the 2019 general elections in Nigeria. Voter apathy, the level of violence by the political class. For this time, we're having 20 million young people, first-time voters, that will be voting for the first time. The election will determine how young people react to the electoral process moving forward. But it is an indicator for the future of young people in this country.
Omoyele, in 30 seconds, apathy. Is that something you're worried about?
No, I'm not worried about apathy. I'm worried about how young people interpret their roles and the fact that I'm worried more about complacency. And complacency comes from relying too much on social media as opposed to putting your feet on the ground. And as someone said at the beginning of this show, nobody's going to count your likes or retweets or how many times you appear on Instagram. It's going to be by the number of times people vote for you. And again, I would say, finally, Samson, you guys needed to have done a little bit more than just showing up a few people as not young to run. If you sign a law that still gives us a 76-year-old president, probably...
Omoyele, you're repeating yourself. So I'm going to ask you to put a pause on that for a moment, because in a moment we will continue this program on YouTube. Samson, you can have the right of reply there. But first, let's take a look at what people are saying ahead of our special show for tomorrow on women's representation in Nigeria.
We'll have a look at this tweet. This is from Ollie Owen, who writes, there have been more than 180 gubernatorial swearings in Nigeria since 1999, and not a single one has been of a woman. Let's think about that for a second.
Oh, we'll give that subject a lot more time in our special show tomorrow. But now we're going to continue our discussion about youth and the Nigerian elections online. Stay with me. You need to be on your computer, your laptop, or your phone. This is not going to happen on your TV. Go to your browser, type in Al Jazeera, under press here, .com/Nigeria stream. And as long as I haven't done a spelling error, that will take you, yes, to our online show live now on YouTube. And then we can pick up on Nigerians, young Nigerians, also looking at the Nigerian elections. Malika and I will see you on YouTube in less than 10 seconds. See you soon.
An unreported world on Al Jazeera.
US and British companies have announced the biggest discovery of natural gas in West Africa. But what to do with these untapped natural resources is already a source of heated debate.
Nothing much has changed. They still spend most of their days looking for water from dry riverbeds like this one.
5 years on, these Syrians still feel battered. For even those who managed to escape their country haven't truly been able to escape the war.
Recruited to win a war, exploited on the battlefield.
The colonial regime placed a different value on African life than it did on European life.
Then abandoned for a lifetime.
We should be ashamed that veterans who fought for our country are living in that poverty.
People in Power investigates the plight of Imperial Britain's African troops.
They gave me nothing.
The forgotten heroes of empire on Al Jazeera.
Talk to Al Jazeera. We ask.
You personally are one of the main beneficiaries. Is that the case?
We listen.
We want peaceful relations with India also.
That was exactly my point.
We meet with global newsmakers and talk about the stories that matter on Al Jazeera.
We understand the differences and the similarities of cultures across the world. Al Jazeera.
Nigeria, they use computer. The leaders of Nigeria, they use radio where they turn the knob.